Welcome to Built for This, the podcast where purpose meets performance. Hosted by business strategist and human behavior specialist Carly Pepin, this show dives into the real stories behind high-growth businesses. Let's bring life to your vision.
Hey guys. Okay, so I am very much excited for today. So today I have Kevin LaRosa here, which I will give you his biography. He's done some really cool stuff. He's also my cousin, so I've gotten to watch him kind of grow into what he's doing today, which is very cool. So this is Kevin LaRosa, too. As a third generation pilot and second generation aerial coordinator and Hollywood stunt pilot, Kevin LaRosa II grew up living and breathing aviation. Ever since his childhood, Kevin has dreamed of carrying on his family's legacy of combining aviation and filmmaking. Today, Kevin is an ATP-rated pilot licensed by a variety of aircraft makes and models in both helicopters and airplanes. He also holds type ratings in several Learjet models in addition to the C-130, L-382 Hercules, and the Swarovskis, I might have butchered that, S-70 UH-60, as well as the Embracer Phenom 300. Kevin is a member of the Screen Actors Guild, the Motion Picture Pilots Association, and holder of an FAA-issued movie manual and waiver. Known for his work on major blockbusters like Top Gun Maverick, The Avengers, Iron Man, Transformers, and Devotion, Kevin LaRosa II has worked on over 100 different motion picture and commercial productions. While the feature film and television flying make up the bulk of Kevin's career, air-to-air photography is what he specializes in. Partnered with 3 Delta Fox, Kevin choreographs, plans, and flies hundreds of complicated and dynamic aerial photography missions for worldwide airline operators, aircraft manufacturers, military branches, and private jet operators. With a perfect safety record and a resounding drive to continuously pursue excellence in motion picture aviation and aerial photography, Kevin is relentless in his craft, yet incredibly appreciative for where he is and the amazing opportunities that have come his way. So welcome, Kevin.
Wow, thanks, Carly. That was a big intro bio there. It's awesome.
I know, it is actually awesome. I think what else is awesome is, again, so I got to grow up with Kevin and we were besties when we were growing up. And this guy has been flying since I think as long as you could. When you grow up as a parent and you let your kids sit on your lap in a car, like that's Kevin and flying. So at what age would you say you even remember just being obsessed with the idea of flying?
Oh man, so young. I remember watching my dad work on movies, like getting to go on set with my mom, watch my dad flying and just knowing from a young age, like that is it. That's what I want to do. Don't know how I'm gonna do that, but I want to do exactly what he's doing. And because of that, he turned into my idol and my mentor. Actually, I think greatly improved our relationship because I wanted to be just like him. And that was unwavering. Like there wasn't any time in my life where I was like, maybe I'll go do this or something different. It was always a single track. That's it. That's what I want to do. I remember flying with him at a really young age. I remember he'd have to put pillows under me and like things on the rudder pedals so I couldn't reach the controls. I couldn't see over the side. Like I was pretty young learning how to fly, and I have memories of that. Obviously too young to like take official lessons, but he gave me a really early start, which was really cool. And then when I was 14, that's when I had my first logbook training. So yeah, before I could drive, I was literally learning how to fly airplanes. And I soloed at 16. I remember the day. I didn't even know I was going to fly an airplane by myself that day. It was just a standard day to go training with my instructor. I noticed my dad was acting a little weird. And there was a moment where the instructor said, "Stop here." We just had landed and we were going to go back and do another takeoff. And I said, "Okay." And he got out of the airplane, walked over and said, "Go ahead and try a couple on your own." And I didn't expect that. And I looked over and I saw my dad parked over there too. So my dad obviously knowing I was going to solo on that day. And I just remembered almost a calmness coming over me. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't scared. And I probably had a perm smile. I was just like smiling the whole time, but I wasn't nervous. It just, I remember doing my first takeoff by myself and I looked over and I put my hand on the seat where normally there's an instructor or my dad and nobody was there. I was just up there by myself and I literally it was tranquil almost. So probably due in large part to my preparation, but yeah, I started super early.
Yeah. No, I actually remember going to So his dad and mom's business was called Jetcopters. And so I remember going over to Jetcopters one day, and I was just scheduled. Your parents were babysitting me that day, and we would hang out at Jetcopters a lot. And literally, you were about like, I feel like I was like 10 years old.
Hmm.
And I walked in with my parents, and your dad was standing there in front of a plane, and he had his arms like kind of just around your shoulder. And he's like, "Yeah, we just finished flying." And I was like, "Kevin flew?" And he's like, "Kevin can fly." He's like, "He can't get his license yet, but he can fly." And I was like, "Whoa, that was amazing." So yeah, I just remember, and it's made quite an impact because you're quite young, Kevin. You're quite young to be in the position that you are, but simultaneously, if you look at the time and energy and effort you've put in on the back end, I mean, that means that you're basically what, like 35 years into your career.
Yeah, exactly.
Technically.
When you look at it that way, I am, I got some grays coming in. You see all that? I get stress and lack of sleep and daughters.
I got some of
So, yep. But I wear them proudly. Definitely not afraid of aging, but definitely feeling it these days. Uh, I'm young in my business for sure. I've only owned the company I own now, X Brand, which we haven't formally introduced. It wasn't in my bio because it's very new. I own a company called X Brand, which stands for Advanced Aerial Cinematography, and I own it with some fantastic partners of mine who I love and appreciate and trust. And yeah, that's a new company that we started, but I've only been an aerial coordinator and stunt pilot officially full time since I've, call it 12 years. Um, I'm the youngest guy in the profession as far as my colleagues and competitors are concerned. Um, I just became the president of the Motion Picture Pilot Association, which is a great honor. It's a very selfless position. I actually, in kind of way, I represent my colleagues and even my competitors. It's not really about pushing yourself. It's about pushing what your profession means to the industry, making sure that we're operating under the same safety guidelines and everything. But yeah, Cara, to your point, I look at it every day like, well, I'm going to do this until maybe I'm 70, maybe 65. Who knows when I'm going to retire? So I got 30 years left in this business. And what's different is a lot of people think about retirement.
Mhm.
I hate the idea of retirement. And I know like that's the goal, right? You want to make money, have a nest egg, have all these different retirements and be able to settle down and start enjoying your life. When you're really passionate about what you do, I hate to think of the day I gotta hang it up, but I know that'll come one day. Um, I've never felt like I've worked a day in my life, and I work really hard, but I
Mhm.
absolutely love what I do. I can't imagine not doing it.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that. This is even when we talk about the whole podcast theme is built for this, right? And so I agree with that. There's multiple theories in life where we can build our lives to retire, or you could still build your life to be financially independent and be able to retire, but love what you do so much that it's not worth it. And it really changes the dynamic of your life. And I think both you and I were very lucky to grow up with parents watching two parents do what they love, where it kind of becomes like a little bit of a non-negotiable. Like your dad loved what he did, he loved it. So it's like, it was fun to watch him. It was fun to go over there and hear him teach me about what he was doing and all the different things he got to do the day. I remember when he told me about the news helicopters. I had no idea that he would fly for the news. And that was actually a life-changing moment for me because I remember the moment where he said he was going off to fly and record for the news. And I remember your mom taking us back in and we were sitting in the office and she's like, "You can watch it on TV." And I watched it on TV and it was a really cool moment for me because I realized, like, and it makes me want to cry because it was very impactful for me. I realized how many people you can reach in the world. And in that moment, like your dad had reached like our whole city and was helping the whole city. He was doing the traffic
Yeah.
report. And I was like, this is so cool. But when you're a kid and you get to experience things like that, and then he comes back with a smile on his face, like it really becomes a non-negotiable thing for you. So I think we both got really lucky having such great exposure to those environments.
Yeah, I mean, my dad wasn't my only exposure to film. I mean, I grew up with your dad. I looked up to your dad being a producer and director and seeing all the movie posters and everything he did. So our family was really aligned on different fronts in that industry, which was really cool. And we missed your dad. Just want to shout out to him there. But so yeah, we had all these great people that were doing like our fathers, people we were looking up to. So I'm just really thankful we got to grow up in that environment. I wouldn't be here today if I didn't have a family, not only my dad, but watching your dad. I feel like half my childhood at your house too. So that's pretty fun.
I know. So both of our parents had massive impacts on each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's very cool. And I actually want to dive into X Brand a bit because X Brand is kind of a bigger deal. It's only 3 years old, but you guys have done something that's really quite revolutionary in the film industry. So you took this niche market, but you made it into a business where usually this is like an independent contractor dynamic. And I would love for you to share like how you guys turn it into a business because I think it's so cool what you've created for your customers, your clients, and just how it just makes their lives easier, more effective, more efficient.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it, like any business, you have to have a powerful why. Like, why is this a good idea? Why is this going to work? How does it help the end user, which is the customer? It's just like your dad, a producer or director. So, a script will get written, and sometimes there's one shot with a helicopter. Sometimes the whole script is about aviation, but they have to be able to go somewhere. And historically, they would go to an aerial coordinator, a motion picture pilot, like myself, who's an independent contractor. I'm going to get hired by the individual studios and service that production company from start to finish as one person. But we always have teams of people that are around us. We align with people that support us or do similar things that make what we do effective and that can be done safely. For instance, like mechanics or camera technicians or aerial gimbal technicians or aerial DPs who are operating the camera, all those people are vital to be able to create this for the directors and producers. So what we did is basically said to ourselves, why do we not have a one-stop shop where a producer or a production company like Netflix or Paramount can call and go, I know the team I'm getting. It's comprised of these core people who have amazing records and do so many different things, but they also have all these resources. And now X Brand owns all of this specialty equipment all in one house. It also gave me the ability to own, have employees like Laura Andrews, who's our amazing aerial production manager. And she literally will do every piece of paperwork start to finish, the quoting, the billing, the insurance, the aircraft lease agreements, the equipment rental agreements, helping the locations department with permitting. So it's just this very white glove service that I feel didn't exist before. So when we realized why we needed to do it and why it was a good idea, we found the right people, which was really easy for me to do because I was already working with them. I'd known them for years and I trusted them. And we built this company out of thin air. We named it X Brand because X means extreme, and that's what we love doing is bringing this very dynamic yet thorough approach to safety and helping their dreams come true. And we started purchasing gear and equipment, and it's just growing from there. Now we go all over the world. We work on feature films, movies, television shows, special projects, every airliner commercial that everyone watches, Delta, United, American, that's all kind of hubbed through X Brand or supporting our partner company, 3 Delta Fox, with that stuff. So it's just really, it's growing and it's been fun to see. And the best part about it is the feedback. We get the feedback from the customer, the producers, the line producers who are so appreciative of the work we do and the team and the start to finish. And they always come back, and it's a lot of word of mouth too. So it's been an adventure. I never I always thought I'd own Jetcopters, which is a company you mentioned, my parents' company. That was an aviation company that did a lot of different things, news and charter, flying people. X Brand does one thing. We do one thing very, very well, which is aerial cinematography support for the production industry.
That's amazing. And I don't even know this because I was going to ask you to like walk us through a live version of it, but I don't know if the Top Gun Mavericks, did you do that with X Brand? Or
That's actually prior, it was prior to X Brand, yeah, so that's
I thought that might be the
2018.
case.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was. No, that was all prior. So but that's what's very cool about Top Gun Maverick. It's the forefront of X Brand because it was the same people. So
Yeah.
Michael Fitzmaurice, one of my favorite aerial DPs who now owns part of X Brand with me, and Jared Slater and Steven Sherba. These are technicians and extremely smart people who help us develop gear and maintain our gear. They own part of X Brand. These are all the same people I did Top Gun Maverick with. So it was really just getting in a room with people I already trusted, being like, guys, we could do this at a higher level and we can do it within our own company if we create what later became X-Brain.
That's amazing. So was part of doing that movie together, was that part of the inspiration that you decided like, hey, like let's actually put this together in a more like what happened on that movie that made you think like we could do this better?
Wasn't just that movie, it was all the movies we were doing. Right after that, it was Devotion and then Extraction and all these things we were doing. It's the same people, same team. And it's the same team because
Yeah.
typically myself and the aerial DP get to choose our aerial team. The production company is going to go, hey, Kev, we need this helicopter to land on a train and there's a gunfight and a helicopter chase. Pick your team. And then I go out and put the team together with people that I trust and people that are professional and proficient in doing that kind of work. Well, when you end up working with the same team over and over and over again, you're sitting in the same rooms, traveling together, hotels together, you're like, seems to be a pattern here. We could probably do this at a very high level together instead of just joining up all the time on these jobs. So that was our incentive is like we're already doing this. Why aren't we taking our skill sets and putting them into one hub together to make something really great?
That's actually really cool because it's like it's almost like you didn't even have to go out and search the team. Just you guys showing up on each project and being experts in your field, you were naturally brought together. You naturally created almost that vibe, that connection. And then it's just, yeah, it sounds like it's really been thriving.
You know, they say partnerships are one of the hardest things in business, second to employees. I don't know, partnerships can actually be harder sometimes, in my opinion. But uh, I decided to create a company. I could have probably made X brand on my own, but I didn't want to. This is, I like to think of us more of like a Formula One team, a race team, or, you know, a team that's very competitive in any sport. It really takes all of us. And having a sense of ownership for my partners is very important to me. I didn't want it to just be mine. I wanted to go to work or go to the office or go to the hangar and see them there because it's theirs too. And once we all have that same sense of ownership and urgency and care and attention we're putting into the same company, that's really helped us flourish. And also, I'd known these people for over a decade. So I had a pretty good understanding of their, you know, their morals and their ethics. So I felt that was a little bit low risk. And I can tell everybody right now, for 3 years of being in business, we've had not one partner fight. We don't always vote the same when we take partner votes, but that's the whole point of the partnership. But we don't fight. We don't argue. We get along. And that is something that I learned about your father and his partner, Joe, I think, right?
Yeah.
Joseph. They never fought after
Yes.
years and years of doing business. You know, they say one of the most important things in business is your spouse, which I 100% agree with. It's your supporting spouse of what you're doing. Like your mom was extremely supportive of your dad, and my mom extremely supportive of my dad. Second most important thing is who you're in business with. To me, you know, partners. You have to be very selfless and support each other, and when you do that, you're never going to fight.
Yeah, totally. And a big part of it, I actually just did an interview with Joe. He's so fun. It's a really funny one, by the way. He gets into some interesting stuff um, that happens in the movie world. But it's something that, like, just even to share on that fighting dynamic, it was just putting the ego aside. Like he kind of shared some stories about some outside individuals that they brought in that actually got fired who were high profile, but they acted high profile so much so that it actually was going to ruin the dynamic of the core of what they are, which it really was a family. So it's like when you put that ego aside, you're working as the team, you guys are connecting as the team, where it's not all about you, you're not always right, because we really aren't. You can actually be humble enough to like have these conversations and really create something quite inspiring. Yeah, so it sounds like you guys have created a solid team in that way, which is very cool, very, very cool.
We're sure trying.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Hey everyone, it's Carly. If you're really resonating with what we're talking about and want to get clear on what truly drives you, what your core values are, head on over to my website. In the tools and tips section, there is a free values assessment. And this is a quick exercise that's going to help you to uncover what actually matters most with you so you can lead and live with more clarity, fulfillment, and momentum.
And I'm curious as well, like, so even when you talk about having the turnkey solution, right? Like, what are the kind of systems and infrastructure that you had to put in place to create a turnkey solution for the film industry?
The biggest thing we had to put into play was organization. X-Brand doesn't do one movie a year or one project a year. We make our revenue by doing a job at a very high level and then closing it out. Um, so the more jobs that come in through the door and that we do a good job on and close out, the more money and more revenue we make.
Mhm.
Problem is you have a capacity, right? You have a limit for how much work you can process, and we've learned that limit over the past 3 years. We know about how much work we can take in and do, where we're stretched too thin, and then we're starting to grade our customer service to each one of those customers. So what we learned to do was try to organize and be very efficient. We started the company using like files in Apple, shared files, and then we upgraded to a different system. We're using like Google Drive right now, and then we noticed, well, we kind of need a software program to help us keep these jobs organized, so we know who's doing what, when we're supposed to do it, and have deadlines. And we got into Wrike, which is a management software. And as any company, you kind of like right size um, those external software programs that you're using. Some of those get very expensive. As
Mhm.
Xbrand grows, I absolutely see us buying or building or getting into something that's a little bit more customized, a little more powerful. So as the company's grown over the last 3 years, we've watched ourselves kind of upgrade, right sizing, paying the right amount for what we can afford right now, the size we are, so that we're super efficient. And it's kind of fun to watch, the shared calendars and the project management softwares, jobs come in, we get
Mhm.
really refined. The other thing we do really well is I like being very quick about decisions. I like being very quick about changes. And I call it, death by PowerPoint, death by Zoom. Like I've been in other organizations where it's just meeting after meeting after meeting. It just feels like you're running in mud. I look up to people like, Elon Musk and, read a lot about Steve Jobs. I love how quick they were able to pivot and how easily they were able to change infrastructure or personnel, the way personnel would operate or practices to be more efficient, to be leaner, to be faster.
Mhm.
And time is of the essence in any business, especially ours. We need to get a quote out the door as quickly as possible. In order to quote, we need to make sure aircraft are available, people are available, scheduling things, revisions to these estimates, the paperwork. Speed is huge to me. But then there's the old saying, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. You can't go too fast. So to
Mhm.
answer your question and a really long-winded answer, it's been fun to watch ourselves kind of get more efficient. We have so much more work to do. I think we're a good company. I don't think we've achieved greatness, and that's a difficult thing to do. We might never get there, but that's definitely what I'm aiming at.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. You guys can do it. You're on, you're on your way. 3 years in, you're already working it out. Keep going. Um, no, definitely. And no, that's really cool. That's really cool. And I think it's true. It's like the systems, the processes, and then as you keep refining it, is like how that works for you. You know what's interesting? Butcher the name of the book, even though I just mentioned it this morning. I think it's like the home service millionaire. I really like it. I just love construction and all the like I just love like contractors and all that stuff and all the businesses that go with that. And I love working with those people. But so I was listening to that book, but what was really interesting in that book is they started out as a home service company, but then they built a software. And when you listen to that book, you really hear how it's massively promoting like their software to like the home contractor service, but it's also like pliable in other businesses as well. And it's interesting that you talk about like you're like, well, maybe we'll build a software one day because this isn't good enough. And then it's like, I think sometimes we miss out in the beginning on the possibility, like you could also sell your software in the future, Kev. Like
Yeah,
totally probable. Because once you create something more effective and efficient and there's like that market and need, all of a sudden our good companies sometimes become great just because of these tiny little ideas we have in the beginning that we don't even realize could impact so many more people, like so many more. Because if you're seeing gaps in the system, there's genuinely gaps. Like there's gaps, and you're like, we need something custom to like be able to help us get it done. So I think that's cool. It's like your brain's already kind of working really far in the future there.
I think the moral of that story is, like I'm not the best at that. I have kind of blinders on, very like focus driven for doing one thing at a very high level. And I fail all the time because I'm not looking at the big picture sometimes. And that's like what you just identified. But that's also why I have really good partners who look at the
Yeah.
big vision sometimes. And I just grit my teeth and stay focused and go. And they'll go, hey, we could be doing this. But that's a really good thing for any company. You know, I feel like a lot of companies will change and waver over the course of the life of that company. You know, they might realize we're doing this, but we actually could do this even better and make more revenue. So I'm definitely not the best at that. Just, and it's probably my own fault of growing up wanting to do one thing really bad for the rest of my life. I don't look at the big picture sometimes, but it's a good note.
Yeah. No, I really love this too because even in saying that, this is cool because there's also nothing wrong with focusing on that because you have other people that you partnered up with beautifully bringing in for you, right? So that's perfect. So you don't have to think about it. But in saying that, share with us what you've innovated because you have such a specialized focus. Like I know there's a couple items and things that you've innovated in the film industry, but also I believe it's with photography for, aerial photography as well because of your specialized focus.
For sure. Well, I do believe if you're not innovating, you're dying. And while Xbrand is not we don't machine anything, we don't make parts, but we have some things that I consider our IP that we've created over the years. And one of them helped me get Top Gun Maverick. Kind of, Tom Cruise said it I think in a speech once, you got to will your own luck, right? Like it just doesn't happen. Sometimes you got to make it happen. For me on Top Gun, creating what's called today the Cinejet, which we've trademarked, and it's a uh, little fighter trainer jet that is purposely kind of built up to be a camera jet, and it's fully maneuverable and fully aerobatic and can do a lot of things no other jet could do before. And I thought of that and built that up prior to Top Gun happening because I knew there was a chance Top Gun would get made, Top Gun 2, before it was even called Top Gun Maverick. And to be fair for everybody who's going to watch this, I'm not psychic. I was walking with Tom Cruise one day on Jack Reacher 2. We were walking back to base camp after shooting something. And he knew my dad. He knew that my family was in aviation and filming. And out of nowhere, he was like, one day we're going to make Top Gun 2, or, it was going to be called Maverick. This is years before. And he said, but it's all got to be real. We got to shoot it all for real. And we don't have that technology. We don't have a way to do it yet. And someone called his name, and he split off to learn a different way. And I just remember like implosion in my brain. Like, did Pete Maverick Mitchell just tell me we're going to make another Top Gun one day? And what can I do to position myself to do that? And I spent a long time trying to come up with the right aircraft and the right camera gimbal technology, which I didn't invent. It was readily available. It was about finding the available assets and people to pull together to make one very useful tool. And we created the Cinejet. And I got the movie Top Gun Maverick literally because of that jet, because I created that jet. I got a call one day from the producer saying, hey, we heard you have this jet. We want you to work on the movie. So that is a perfect example of throwing a Hail Mary in business. They're not all going to get caught, but you throw 50 of them, one might get caught, and that one got caught for me. And later on, we created other things called, we have a Black Hawk. We actually have a couple of them through our partners at Brown Helicopter that is exclusive to X Brand, and we call it the Movie Hawk. And as Hueys were like the mainstay helicopters in our dad's era, making movies for being military helicopters on camera, the new modern era wanted Blackhawks because that's what the DoD used. And you couldn't get one unless you worked with the Department of Defense. But as you know, you can't always work with the Department of Defense because they don't love every script and they get final say if you're using their assets. So we created the Movie Hawk. We took a ex-military Blackhawk, made it flyable. It's in civilian hands. It lives right here in Southern California, and it is available to producers. And it looks just like a Department of Defense Hawk. And we brought in amazing pilots and people to maintain it and fly it. And that's an example of something that we've created and trademarked that I think has made the storytellers' lives easier because they can just call us and they don't have to get script approval and work through the Department of Defense. They don't have to worry about aircraft being pulled to go do their normal duties for the Army. So we do stuff like that. A lot of it is just watching and listening and learning what doesn't work, and then going home and endlessly thinking about, well, how could we maybe do that ourselves or make it better or make it easier? So there's a lot of that.
Yeah, no, I love that because it's focused on the customer and the problems, right? And then it's like, well, how can I do that? But then also you just get to do really cool stuff in the process. You know, it's not like you're missing out. You didn't miss out on doing any really cool things that you had an idea for. You're like, well, let's focus on the customer and like this would be really amazing. Can I do it? How do I do it? And I also love that you guys put it together without having to create everything from scratch, right? So even financially like just being able to figure out how to take all these other puzzle pieces that already existed and put it together in this new package, like financially, I'm sure that that was incredibly helpful as well.
It was, absolutely, and I feel like these things get more expensive as we go. Like we just, as I said before, if you're not innovating, you're dying, in my opinion. And that is a constant drive, whether someone's asking for it to be upgraded or not, to just continually better the product. Um, I think there's a lot of relevancy there for X brand. That's one thing that we love doing is we just constantly tweak on things and make them better. So next time the customer calls, it's like, cool, you want that again? Well, we made it better since you used it. And here's the new version. By the way, it costs the same. You just get to benefit from it. That's always really fun. Um, the Cinejet is going to get relaunched this year. It's called the Cinejet Mark II. Again, nobody ordered it, nobody wanted it. This is just our way of working with our partners to create something that's better than what we had before. One, so that we retain market share, because you know, we're going to have competitors that are going to build camera jets similar or maybe even better than ours. So you have to stay ahead of the pack if you want relevancy and you want to be viable. And also, we want directors and producers that are going to film air-to-air movies, maybe like the next Top Gun, if that ever gets made, to have an edge. Like, what's going to make this better than the last one? Well, that's up to us. We have to develop that now so it's ready later. And this new jet has a bigger engine, so I can fly it faster and harder. It has a brand new camera gimbal, which X Brand bought from a company called Immortal, and it is a purpose-driven gimbal that'll go faster and pull more G's and do things we couldn't do before. And that was super expensive. We don't have a project lined up for it yet, but that's just stacking our cards for what we know will probably happen.
Yeah, no, that's actually really cool. But I think what's interesting too is because you're getting feedback. Are you getting feedback directly when you guys are on the set? Because you're
Yeah.
heavily involved. So it's kind of like the place where you get to do your customer survey. I kind of love this because when, I do a customer survey, sometimes people feel bad and I'll be like, tell me the truth, and they'll feel bad. I'm like, I actually want the truth because I want to improve. So people are afraid to give feedback, but you guys are on set. So if someone's frustrated and they say something,
Oh,
they'll
no,
say it out loud, right? Yeah. There's like no
we know
filter.
right away. And but we see that we're the ones that are taking the product in the field. We're not selling something in bulk and getting feedback from how people use it. We're making tools that let us go out into the field with our customers. So we're using the stuff that we're creating or buying or we get direct feedback instantly. Yeah, there's if a gimbal doesn't work, if the camera doesn't work, if the aircraft's not working, we're gonna know it instantly. We're gonna see disappointment. And then I was taught a long time ago by one of my partners, Michael Fitzmaurice, it's not about what happens, it's about how you recover.
Yeah.
And that is one of our team mottos, if you will, at X Brand, because things are gonna happen. They're supposed to happen. If they're not happening, you're not risking it enough, and you have to take risk in business. Not with our lives. I'm not talking like safety of how we fly the aircraft. There's no risk there. There's inherent risk, but we de-risk it. I'm talking about like risk in the technology, like pushing the technology, and you're gonna break stuff, you're gonna bend stuff, and you got to go back to the drawing board and fix it.
Yeah, that's a really great point. And I love that. And even in saying like the safety dynamic, because I know we talked a little bit about your company culture and safety is huge. So share with me a little bit about like the core values that you guys have implemented within the company, the things that are top priority for you and the employees and the partners.
Yeah, well, it really goes back to the customers too, but mainly us. Our preservation of our own lives and our family. Aviation is inherently risky. What we do in aviation is probably a little bit more inherently risky than flying on an airliner. We're going to do stuff that's lower, faster, a little bit more dynamic, close formation, and there's cameras. Sometimes there's explosions and gunfire. So it's all very non-standard stuff. My job as an aerial coordinator is to take like the creative dreams of the director and the director of photography, put those into realistic expectations for what we can go do without jeopardizing safety. We're not getting shot at. We are not saving lives. We are making pretty pictures for a living. Our job is to go home at the end of the day and make sure everybody is safe. Second to that, our job is not to break aircraft. We can't bend or break certified aircraft or experimental exhibition aircraft. That's a huge deal, and that's a huge safety issue. And third to that, we have to have a working relationship with governments around the world, FAAs, and even property owners where we're operating aircraft on third-party property or private property. We don't want to get phone calls. We don't want to get nasty grams in the mail going, don't ever come back here again. Our job is to make sure that we do all of those things in the order I just gave you. And when that's all done, that's when we make the magic, the pretty pictures happen. So what I always tell people in regards to like an aviation stunt, if we're low or flying under a bridge or landing on a moving train or a car or something, yeah, that sounds pretty wild, sounds pretty crazy, but it is so on rails, meaning it's so rehearsed and it's so governed. Like the FAA is usually on set with us. We've done months of paperwork to get approvals to protect the general public and the people with production to make sure nothing happens. Generally speaking, the stunt flying that we do on set is safer than ferrying the aircraft to set. Like flying the aircraft in bad weather to set is 10 times more dangerous than me landing on a train that we rehearsed over and over and over again.
Wow.
So I would say that we look at that all the time. We safety brief, we remind each other and we check each other that our lives and the company's life could change instantly in 1 second if a bad decision was to be made. We fly close, we fly hard, but we make sure that we back off 10%. So there's a buildup. We call it crawl, walk, run. If, for instance, if I'm landing a helicopter on a moving train, I'm going to land the helicopter on a train after we've shut down the whole area and the FAA is there, and I know right where to put the skids within a couple inches by myself. Then once I can hit that spot every time, I'm going to send the train down the track at 5 miles an hour, do the same thing. Then 10, then 20, then 30, then 40. Then I'm going to put stunt guys on. Then there's going to be gunfire. So there's this buildup. By the time the camera rolls, you might get it in the first take, but you've done it 40 times. So we call it excellence in repetition. If I can hit my mark as a stunt pilot or precision pilot over and over again to a very high level or within a very tight tolerance, then I'm ready to do that. And then we also build up that ramp up. You don't want to ramp up to the point of disaster. You don't want to close your rotor blade tip clearance to a building to the point where you're going to hit it. So we always build up to an acceptable level to where we're going, that's about as close as we want to get anything. But then we actually back off a little bit. I always say we back off 10%. And that's leaving room for the unknown. What if I have an engine failure? What if a bird hits my window? What if somebody yells something in the back of the aircraft and startles us because they saw something? We have to leave room for the unknown. So if you're always operating on the ragged edge, that's not leaving a whole lot of room for safety factors. So I just kind of explained our core buildup and then our little bit of backup just so that we leave room for the unknown. And that's how we go into these things. But we always have the humility of knowing that our lives and people that are in and around the environment or on our aircraft are in our hands, and everything can change in a fraction of a second if we make a mistake or we have a lapse of judgment. So it is a lot of focus, and it's a lot of determination, and it's always chasing excellence. And I know we're never going to be excellent, we're never going to be great, but it's always the pursuit of that. And as long as you're aiming at it and you're trying for it and you're relentless for it, that path is going to look really good.
Yeah. Well, I love what you share too, because it's also part of creating that excellence and embodying that excellence is also the reality and admitting and being humble enough to know that someone else may label that you're there, but if you really are pursuing excellence, you haven't made it yet. Because it's like this never-ending pursuit. Because the second you get to one spot, you can go to the next spot and the next spot and the next spot. So
You're never going to get there.
You're never going to get there. Yeah, yeah, and that's the real pursuit of excellence. Is that there's never any excellence, but everyone else will be like, you're there.
Yeah.
No, and I love that you guys focus on the safety dynamic too. It's interesting because my dad he made like 180 films, the company, and they had one thing happen on set, and it was the unknown. And they have all the safety stuff in place, and they were known for crazy stunts and all the crazy action stuff. And there was just one mistake that the stunt guy actually made, and yeah, and he actually it was interesting. He lost his life on that one, and it's wild because it was just that fraction of a second that he just jumped wrong. That was it. But because 180 films, like they had set up safety to such a degree, like your odds are so much higher that everyone's going to be okay. And it's so important because you're right. There's so many more lives in the hands than just your own. It's like everyone who is present, everyone who is there, everyone has that opportunity. So I love that that's like one of your top priorities for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey everyone, it's Carly. So, if this conversation is really hitting home and you want to get a real snapshot of what's working and what's not in your business, head on over to my website in the tools and tips section and you can have the business performance health check. In just about 15 minutes, you're going to see where the friction is and where your next growth opportunity lies within your company.
Yeah, and I'm curious as well, like, is there any other core values you guys have within the company?
Uh, y- yeah,
Mhm.
there's a lot. There's a lot that are unwritten. I do want to write them down. I think that's important. So you can celebrate them and also kind of make sure that it's not just tribal knowledge that all the employees and all the owners are operating on them, but some of the unwritten ones I like. We just do the right thing will help out a lot, even if it's the hard thing. And a lot of times, as you know, the hard thing is usually the thing that had to be done. I can give a great example of a failure of our company, but we did the right thing. This is actually very new. But we had a helicopter rotor blade get damaged. And it got damaged in the most silly way. It got damaged in a hangar. Call it hangar rush. It's like a really full garage, right? And you bump into your car.
Oh
And
no.
so the most silliest thing, and these things happen in the aviation industry. It's going to happen in any company. There's going to be internal little incidents and stuff. And of course, when you look at it, it's a chain of errors that led to that. It always is. So you identify the chain and you put policies and procedures in place. But what I'm talking about is just doing the right thing, making the embarrassing call to the owner of that helicopter. This just happened. We're responsible for it. But a plan in place that is going to show that not only do you care, but you're willing to go the extra step to take care of the partnership of being able to use that helicopter again in the future. Um, and I was really proud of X Brand recently for doing this very thing. We had a little bit of hanger rash happen. These things can happen. Going through the processes to make sure that our partners knew that we're accountable, and we're predictable, we're professional, and we're humble, and we're going to always do the right thing. And that isn't, usually the easy thing. So anyway, it's that is a big one. And the other thing I've learned is, humility. And it's not like a core like motto or anything like that, but being an aviator, we all have egos. And they say there's type A personalities usually fit the pilot build. And I think that's because, you're the commander of the aircraft, you're in charge of the people on board. You have to be excellent at operating that thing. It has to be second nature. You have to understand so much for safe operation, but you have to command everything in that aircraft and around you. Uh, and what I learned is that egos need to be checked and controlled in order to have really good humility. And growing up, if I made a mistake flying, I'd be embarrassed by it. And I didn't want people to know about it. It's like sweep it under the rug, it'll go away, no one will ever know about it type thing. Um, as I've grown older, I've learned that the humility side of it is really important and actually is perceived really good in our safety culture and the production safety culture now. So being able to raise your hand and go, look, I over torqued in my lifetime. I've broken two helicopters. I've over torqued them, which was a visual inspection. Nothing got replaced, nothing horrible, but just in the heat of the battle and what we were doing, we had a slight over torque, which is like over revving a car, if you will. And it needs a visual inspection from a mechanic. And that's a little bit embarrassing, but things do happen. And I've learned with those two instances, again, just do the right thing. have accountability, own it, figure out why it happened, fix it so it doesn't happen again. Both of those were very, very different scenarios, but also just teaches me that uh, I'm not perfect and anything could happen to me if I let my guard down. And if I try to hide those things or forget about those things, I'm likely to do it again. So I don't celebrate them by any means, but I'll never forget them because those are my never again moments. Those very different scenarios, I'll never put myself in that position again. And to me, that makes me less likely to ever do that ever again.
Mhm. I think one thing, well, there's a couple things, but one thing I love that you shared, even as you were talking about the person that you use their helicopter. Technically, it's a vendor, but you use the word partner. And your business is built on partnership, right? Like even your
Yes.
branding and your marketing is built on partnerships. Your vendors are partners. It's like I think it just goes to show that there's this value within the company, this really importance of treating everyone like they are your partners, like they are your equals, like you're gonna do what it takes. You guys are in this together. And it sounds like, yeah, I mean, word of mouth, obviously, you feel that on the other side. So, of course, like it would be spread. So, I just love that dynamic of, yeah, how you shared it. It's like these are your partners. Like everyone here is a partner.
Yeah, well, 100%. Absolutely. And you said it, word of mouth is everything. Like I will not, cannot sleep at night knowing that we've done something wrong or done somebody wrong. And our vendors, we do look at them like partners. They are trusting us with their assets. We got to use helicopters or airplanes all over the world. I wish I could own every helicopter and airplane all over the world that I would use, but that's not realistic. We have to find people that trust us to use their machine. And in order for them to trust us to use their aircraft, we got to do the right thing. And that's a perfect example of what we just now every company should be able to stand behind their core values, and that's going to open up way more opportunities. So you do one person wrong or you try to back away from something you're responsible for, that spreads like wildfire. It also is going to create a pretty negative culture within your company. When your employees also see you do the right thing, that speaks volumes. I think that goes a long, long way.
Yeah, this is cool. I think the other thing I want to touch base on is the humble dynamic. I really think people misinterpret it, and it's interesting to see at various scales. Like people forget about just being humble, like just being human, and that's actually a preferred dynamic. It's really funny because I was speaking with an individual about potentially being on podcast. Part of the reason I do a pre-call is because I'm actually like testing out your personality a little bit. uh, and
Recess
there
to me when we got our pre-call.
no, I just wanted to get some info and I wanted to hang out and I wanted to say hi. But a lot of people are gonna get tested and just make sure, like, even if you have a great business, like this guy had a great business. It was so cool and I love it and it's amazing. But then when I started talking to the individual, like it was all about him. And he kept telling me how amazing he was. And I kept trying to ask questions to like understand these different dynamics. And most of the people that are on my show, like they talk about the real thing. Like their business is about the people that they're connected with, and if it's a company like without partnerships, they're like, I couldn't be here today without my employees, and if it's a company with partners, it's like I have my partners, I couldn't be here today without these people. Like those are the people who actually realize what it takes to run a business. And the other ones, like you don't even want to talk to because they're like, do you need a high five? Like, I feel like you're looking for a high five right now. Maybe you just like high five yourself and we can change the conversation.
Yeah.
And it gets so weird because you're like, what are we talking about right now?
Yeah.
So I think it is true. Sometimes we think we have to put on these personas, but the reality is those are the most off-putting personas you can experience. And when you just meet people who are like, yeah, no, I make mistakes. Like I have these challenges, but I'm gonna make it right and I'm gonna figure it out. And if like this is what we do, this is our track record. And if you do mess up, it's like, this is what I'm gonna do for you. This is how I'm gonna make sure to make it right. Then it changes the dynamic to, okay, these are real people. They mess up. They sort things out. They strategize. I can trust them. I can actually trust them. I can trust like something big in their hands where the other individual, you're like, I'm pretty sure you're just gonna walk away.
Yeah. Yep. You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, so I love that dynamic. And something really fun too for people to test out. So Pride Before the Fall. This is another reason why it's really important not to be really proud. So we talk about the pride before the fall, but people don't really understand that literally literally this occurs, literally, because when we get too puffed up, the universe brings in challenging situations to humble us back and bring us down to size. I laugh because it often happens with our partners. Like, you may have a really great day at work and you think you're amazing, and then you come home and your partner reminds you that you're just a human being, right? So
Oh
some
yeah.
people, yeah, some people get frustrated and call that criticism. I call that the universe reminding you to get off your pedestal. But it also happens at like larger scales. So the more people that you reach and the more you're out there, and you can see it definitely in politics right now. So the more that they're getting puffed up and they think they're right and they're getting self-righteous, the more people that they have in humbling circumstances to bring them back down to size, and humble. So it's easier if we do that with ourselves. It's like a really great leadership quality if you just really practice staying humble on your own. It's easier than the outside.
It is. I mean, sometimes it's hard to do that. Sometimes you need something external to happen to really make you understand you need to make a change or feel something a little bit different. And that's what happened for me. It's if you have that ability as an individual to recognize that and become humble out of thin air, that is awesome. I feel like for most people, it's usually an event or
Yeah.
something that happens to them that wakes them up. Like, okay, I'm not perfect, and I can be touched, I can be hurt or dragged down, and that was embarrassing. So, yeah, for me, I learned by experience,
Yeah,
which is,
most of us do.
but also, here's the biggest thing: like, I'm still learning how to be humble.
Yeah.
And that's, they say that with a pilot too. There's so many things in aviation that I think are just good for everyday life, but continuing to learn is huge. When you stop wanting to learn and care about life, about yourself, uh, it's kind of a fail, right? We never know it all. We never will know it all. So you
Yeah.
always have to keep learning. I always want to be better at everything. I want to be a better fiance. I want to be a better dad. I want to be better at so many things. As long as we're always trying, keeping our ears open and understanding that we don't know it all, I think that's a huge part of life.
For sure. I think we forget too what a gift it is to have that opportunity. Like, I love learning. So I can't imagine, like, what if I did know it all? What if I had it together? Like, then I have nothing to learn. And that just sounds like a tragic life to me. Like, no more courses, no more books, no more studying, no more talking to people. Like, what would be the point? I wouldn't need it. And to me, I'm just
Yeah,
like,
what
well,
would be the point?
yeah, what am I doing then? I'm so bored. Life sucks. So I think that's part of the thing we forget too is like learning is such a gift. It's such a gift, and all the different ways we get to learn. And if we have it all together, then we just don't get life. Like, we don't get life experience. So I love that. And oh,
Something else that's, oh, do you go?
no, you go for it.
I was gonna say, something that I do all the time is I live urgently. A lot of people tell me to slow down and be in the moment, and they're right. I need to do that, but
Mhm.
I live urgently because I'm hyper aware of how short we're going to be here.
I know.
And all the things that I want to accomplish, I always feel like I'm way behind. Like, I'm 10 years behind where I thought I'd be at this age right now. So I live urgently every day with with family and my company, because I just feel like there's never enough time. And there isn't. There's such a short flash of our life in this existence of this planet, and we're lucky to be here. I always say I'm glad to be here, but we're lucky to be here right now, and I feel like there's never enough time. So trying to, like, how do I make this more efficient? How do I take advantage of every second? And I hate wasting time. I'm really bad at chilling. Like, all my friends and family, like, I don't. They're like, do you sit still and relax? Like, yeah, I don't. No, I actually don't. I need to do stuff. So I'm bad at that. I'll slow down one day.
No, I actually, I totally agree, and I know that people forget that we're mortal, and it's hard for people to think about because it stresses them out, it makes them sad. But what I love about remembering that is that it reminds me of everything I want to do. It makes me get focused, it makes me get structured, and it makes me ensure that I'm doing things every day to be able to get it done. And I work from home. Like, I work from home, it's real easy to just piss off and do nothing, but I'm very busy all day because if I mean, I have everything I want to do in front of me on whiteboards, and it's like I look up and it's like, well, I'm kind of tired today. I could take a break. But if I look up at the board, I'm like, yeah, but I could do these things while I'm tired. And it's like, okay, let's just get that done. Because even realistically, like we could say what the average age is, but I'm 42. Maybe I don't know. What if I only live till I'm 50? I mean, I got 8 years to sort some stuff out. I don't
You better get
know.
going.
I have no idea. Maybe I'll live till 120. Who knows? Like that's the other thing too is we don't know. So I think just those reminders to us, because if we have that vision and we really want to achieve it, today's the day. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yesterday was
exactly.
the day. Last week
Yep.
was the day. Like, let's get started. And even in saying that vision dynamic, I'm curious, what does X brand look like in the future? Like, what do you guys envision it to become?
That's a great question. I want to see us be more regional, so different places around the world, so that X-Brain could be more useful to customers making a movie in Thailand, making a movie in the UK. So I'd like to go a little bit more global with the brand so that we're not so, centric based in the United States. We did open up a base in New Jersey this year, which is great because there's a lot of film incentive out there. There's a lot happening, but I'd like to see a broader reach around the world. I think that'd be really cool. Um, and I'd also, like to see us become more efficient in everything that we do as a business and as a company. Um, and profits are great. Of course, we want to turn great profits. I want a great home for our employees as long as they want to be with us. I don't like having a high turnover. Our employees are great. We've actually stuck with the same folks since we started, more or less. So I think just creating an environment where my partners know X Brand is their home. It's a company that's going to take care of them well into the future, and it's going to give us an ability to take care of our customers for a long, long time, and that's the goal for me. I mean, this again, I'm going to be an aerial coordinator and stunt pilot until the day I can't fly anymore.
Yep.
That's my life goal. X brand has become an enabler for me to not only do that at a high level for me, but also before where it was all about me. Like I'm so much more interested in seeing our customers and their reaction and their benefits from what we've created. Like that has become kind of a new drive of mine, and that's where I get a lot of satisfaction from is seeing them benefit and smile from what we've helped create for them.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I think it's one of those things that are massively impactful that sometimes people forget is just it's almost like that. It's like having that customer review and then you read it and you're like, "Oh, yes."
You know,
Like
you feel worth it, right?
that was the best thing about everything, no matter how hard it was. You get that review and you read what they get out of it and you're like, "Ah, yes, I want to do it again and I want to do it better." Yeah.
Worth it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's huge.
I love that. And looking back, what's one lesson that you had to learn the really hard way that made you a better leader?
Uh, a better lesson that made me a better leader. I think it's going back to it, unfortunately, my hardest mistakes, um, learning to own them and then learning to teach those around me so that they don't make the same mistakes. Um, that was the hardest thing for me to learn how to do. That was the whole overcoming an ego thing, being embarrassed by something that I didn't do right. That was one of the harder things for me. Um, and I think it's created a bit of a culture where the folks that fly with me, my partners that fly with me, and everybody, they know I have that too. I'm not trying to prove anything, not trying to, win the award for flying the lowest and closest. The person that has that award, probably not alive. Um, when I say, I want to be the best aerial coordinator and best stunt pilot in the world, it also comes with I want to be the safest. I want to see this life through and this career through.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think that's it. I think it's the mistakes that I've made while flying. It's the shots I didn't get. It's
Yeah.
well, not being in the right place at the right time. Not operating at my best. There's something interesting that's happened as I've gotten older. When I was younger, and had, better metabolism, just healthier and more energy, I didn't think about the physiological effects as much as I do nowadays. And part of, me on, trying to achieve greatness for me and my company and my partners, I've learned about me a little bit. And if I'm going out on a job, I'm making sure I sleep 8 hours. And
Yeah.
I usually won't, I rarely drink alcohol these days, but if I'm on a job, I can be with my team at a restaurant, everybody's having a beer and or social time. That's great. I'll be the guy sitting there with the water because
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily totally thinking about like the calories and stuff like that. What I'm thinking about is I have a very specific job to do tomorrow. And my job is to be the best I can be. And everything that's going to go in my body or that I'm going to do for the next 24 or 48 hours is going to help me be the best I can be tomorrow. So I've become a little into how I feel and just realizing like the way I operate as a human being when I'm flying aircraft, I can greatly improve that if I think ahead a little bit, both on sleep and vitamins, working out, and what I'm eating and drinking. And so I didn't used to think that as much, but I do these days.
Yeah, no, I'm actually the same. And it's really funny because you take it for granted how well it works. Like you really take it for
Yeah.
granted, and it's. I don't drink very often either, but I love wine. I really love wine. I love having a glass of wine. I barely ever have anything, and then every now and then I'll say it. I'll be like, I have nothing to do tomorrow. I basically could have a wash day. I'm just hanging out at the house. I was like, let's go get a glass of wine. Like, let's
Yeah.
do it. I haven't had a glass of wine in like 4 months. Let's do it. Like, that's hysterical.
As you should. I mean, you gotta reward yourself though. Yeah, balance.
I know, right? No, I love that. That's really cool. So thank you so much.
Do you
Yeah.
hold on? Let me ask you a
Yeah.
question before we
Okay.
go. Do you believe in work-life balance for
Uh,
like an entrepreneur or somebody that owns a business? Do you believe in it?
I have a different perspective on it because if we love what we do, we can't not incorporate it into our lives. And so work-life balance naturally happens when we love what we do. We kind of think it should happen in a certain way, but it winds up turning up the way that it's meant to be, And I think everyone has different perceptions, like my dad, he was gone a lot. Like we talked about that. Like he was gone a lot for movies. There was a time when he first started, he would shoot in Vegas. And so he would be gone the whole week, and then he'd drive home on Friday night from Vegas to Los Angeles. So it was like 5, 6 hours or something. And then we'd wake up on Saturday to dad. And then Sunday, he would drive back Sunday afternoon. And so I have, what, a day and a half a week with my dad. He's not coming to soccer games. He's not coming to like any of the other events or anything. If he was there, he would come. But, if he's not there, he can't come. So there's some people who, because I'm in the personal development world as well. So I've gotten to work with a lot of people and we'll work with them on their anger for dad not being present. But I was not angry. Like I didn't ever feel deserted or abandoned or anything like that. I think it's really fascinating. To me, my life is fuller because my dad did what he loved. To me, my life is fuller when he came home and shared those stories. To me, my life wouldn't be what it is today without my dad investing that time in his business. And so, like, could he have spent more time at home? Yes, but he would have done something else. So it's really based on our perceptions and how we perceive or view the world. And this is unavoidable, by the way, because I get to work with lots of people that have kids too. Like you are not going to be able to avoid what your kid perceives. You may get lucky and have a kid who's not mad at you, but you'll probably also have one who's really fucking mad at you for being gone. So sorry, not sorry. Even though it was like meant to be and their world is perfect, they're not going to perceive it that way. You're going to be in the shitter. I love you. Sorry, it happens. But yeah, that's the dynamic. So yeah, if you just build it around what you love, like, and it's like when, and this is like when you get a taste of it, right? It takes a while sometimes to get a taste of it. You got a taste of it when you were young. That thing that like almost is addicting and it hooks you and you're like, I can't give this up. Like if I don't have excellence in this, like I think my life, like I would feel like death, right? A lot of people don't get a hit of that. But if you go and you find that thing that gives you that hit and you pursue it, you'll pursue excellence to the umpteenth degree. You'll be the person that everyone looks at and says, how did they do that? It must be their upbringing. It's like, it's not just their upbringing. It's like they connected with that thing. And then your life becomes the most meaningful and purposeful thing to you. So I don't want people to slow down at work that love what they do. It's a tragedy
Mm.
because it would kill their soul. I don't. And they're so fulfilled and they feel better doing that than they do doing those other things. So I help a lot of visionaries feel better about often disconnecting from other things they think they should do so they can really pursue what's meaningful to them.
Thank you, Car. Yeah, that's great advice. And when I'm listening to you, one thing I take away, which I think anyone listening to this and you and I should understand, is your dad may have been extremely driven and motivated for his career, and he was really good at it. But what I take from what you said is when he did come home, he was fully present and
Yeah.
engaged. He gave you his time when he could. And when he couldn't, he couldn't. But when he could give you his time, he gave you everything. And I look up to that. I wish I was better at that. And that's what I take away from that. So thank you. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I appreciate that. And yeah, he did. He did. He really loved his family. So it was fun. So is anything else that you would love to share before we close off?
Yeah, just with your viewers, because you probably don't have a lot of family on. You're probably one of the most badass cousins I have.
Awesome.
You and I can't you nobody has any idea. Like Carly and I, she was like my best bud growing up. And I'm so thankful for all the years that we spent together growing up, the experiences we had. Uh, Definitely some of the most fondest, best memories, Car. So thank you for a great childhood of being my best friend. And I'm so glad that we're kind of reconnected these days. And I think it's amazing what you're doing. I'm a huge fan. And I love everything you're talking about, all the advice. It's huge. I take it to heart. I think other people that own companies and work very hard take it to heart as well. So can't thank you enough.
Yeah, no, thank you too, Kevin. We had a lot of fun together. We also got in a lot of trouble together.
Yeah, what
I,
you got?
I also remember a lot of those moments where we got in a significant amount of trouble, and I'm like, uh-oh. And then we get separated for like a week or something.
That was like our parents' way of like, all right, they're not allowed to
Yeah,
host
no.
for a little bit.
Part. Yeah, I remember those too. But yeah, no, I love what you're doing, and yeah, I share a lot with people because I absolutely love that you've taken the thing that's most important and you've innovated, you've created something inspiring, and you've created something in such a way that no one else has done before, which based on what I remember growing up, it totally makes sense for you. So I really love seeing it all come into fruition. It's beautiful. So thank you. Yeah.
Thanks,
So
Car. It means a lot.
yeah, definitely. So Kevin from X Brand, I will definitely put his website in the show notes, but once you guys look at it, you'll realize you've probably seen a significant quantity of their work. So you'll be very familiar with it once you check it out. And yeah, we really appreciate it. And thank you again, Kevin. This has been awesome.
Thanks, Car.